Hi, Diana. Sorry for the great backup that we have had, which caused the delay in providing you the feedback as I promised. That will not happen again, I promise. The thing is that I am covering for Ellen, and as she's unavailable right now, there was a bit of a confusion, but I promise you will get your essays in time, and I am sure that you can finish your 9-essay pack. Now let's have a look at your essay about pollution. In our modern world, increased pollution is a pressing problem, especially in cities such as Berlin, London, and Paris. Yes, very good sentence. And this is an interesting way to use the word pressing, but, well, perhaps I could suggest you say this. This is a problem that puts a lot of pressure on modern society or on the modern urban communities, especially in cities such as. The following essay will discuss the main reasons for this issue and suggest some possible solutions to maintain our environment. Great sentence, but I wouldn't say the word maintain. Perhaps preserve will be the best here, because you maintain the state of something. So you could say to maintain the, let's say, our environment clean and healthy. But if you don't have the qualificative, then you can't really use the word maintain. So I suggest preserve. So this was a well-written introduction. Let's go on. Firstly, large cities are struggling with higher pollution as a result of larger numbers of automobiles being used. Okay, I would say if you say higher, you're making a comparison. What are you comparing this to? If you could say high pollution or high pollution rates or higher pollution than before, because this would be a comparison, then you can use higher. This is largely because it is more convenient for people to hop in their car if they want to go out. Okay. More cars on the road mean more toxic fumes are emitted, which pollute our air. Okay, I think right here in between these two sentences, a linking word of contrast would be required, because here you explain a positive reason why people use cars. Yes, it is very convenient, but here you go on with and the negative consequence. So you could say yet, or however, or any other appropriate linker for contrast. I really like the way you use toxic fumes emitted, so you have really well used topical vocabulary. An additional reason to what? If you say an additional reason, perhaps you could add an additional reason to this, or an additional reason for what exactly? For the positive part or for the negative part? Is the amount of food and plastic being wasted, which end up in landfills, I would say in the plural, landfills, and contaminate our environment. Okay, very good use of contaminate. So, judging by the content of the sentence, you mean an additional reason why the pollution rate or why our environment is so hopelessly polluted is the amount of food and plastic being wasted, and so on and so forth. In those large cities, which those? You haven't mentioned any large cities in the previous sentences, so I'm sorry, but this use of those is not really justified. You could say in large cities or in metropolitan centers, just to avoid saying the word cities all the time. And if you use a complex synonym like metropolitan centers or megapolises, this would increase your chance to get a better vocabulary score, right? Because you're using a range of vocabulary. Numerous numbers of takeaway shops exist, and people tend to buy more of these convenient foods. Okay, it is clear what you mean, but the way you use vocabulary needs to be fixed. Why? First of all, numerous numbers. You're using two words with the same root, which is absolutely unacceptable here. You can say simply numerous takeaway shops exist, or there are numerous takeaway shops, because if you put exist here at the end, it looks weird, very weird. So get rid of numbers and replace exist by the structure there are. There are numerous takeaway shops. And why would we use and? We are not adding information. You are saying that from these shops people tend to buy, or from which people tend to buy these convenient foods. Why these? You haven't mentioned these foods before, so there is no reason again to say these. So to fix the sentence, this could sound in large metropolitan centers. There are numerous takeaway shops where people tend to buy their favorite convenient foods. In fact, this produces extra rubbish in the form of single-use plastic containers as well as eatable leftovers. Okay, I beg your pardon, I dropped my mouse. That happens. Okay, let's get back to this. Okay. Yes, we were at leftovers. First of all, leftovers doesn't need the apostrophe. Second, you can write leftovers like this without the hyphen. Next, eatable can be replaced by the appropriate word edible because, well, we can say eatable in a simpler context, in a conversational, let's say, style, but edible is the correct, more formal word. Okay. Great use of topical vocabulary again. You're using it very, very precisely and very, very good examples. Consequently, these convenient lifestyles are extremely dangerous for our natures. Okay, you say lifestyles. What lifestyles have you described? You have described people using cars and people buying takeaway food. I don't think this can be generalized as lifestyles. But you can say these habits, these harmful habits are extremely dangerous for our nature. Yes, and then it will work. However, improving the public transport system could help to reduce air pollution. Why, however? I wonder why do we need the contrast here? You are not contrasting anything in this paragraph to what you discussed before. You could use an expression such as taking into account the issues described above, or taking into account the major problem of air pollution, improving the public transport system could help to reduce it, right? Because this is how you would make the connection with the previous paragraph, and this is necessary. This, however, doesn't make any connection. This is due to the fact, what exactly this? What are you referring to when you say this? This the improving or this the air pollution? It is not clear. Let's see. This is due to the fact that if people found going by bus or train more beneficial than using their own car, frequency of using those would rise. Okay, I got your idea, but this needs to be reformulated because the way you put them together in the sentence is a bit unusual. So we don't really typically say it like this. But yes, the ideas are great. So you could say, yeah, I'm still wondering what you meant by this. Again, if this happens, this affects your coherence score. You could say that this, and by this you would mean improving public transport. This will certainly happen, or no, people will definitely use the public transit, and public transit is another synonym, or people will definitely use city transit if they find out that using the bus or going by bus or train is more beneficial than taking their own car. You don't really use your own car, you take your own car, or driving their own car. Thus, the frequency of, let's say, vehicle use, oh no, yeah, you see, I'm confused by what frequency would rise. And as we said this in the beginning, I don't think you'll need this. So the frequency of use of the frequency of using public transit or just city transit will increase, will rise if people find out that going by bus or train is more beneficial than driving their own car. And this is how we could change the sentence structure of this second sentence and connect it to the first. For instance, this could be reached by ticket pricing in favor of the consumer and a more flexible timetable. Timetable is one word. Why, for instance? This is not an example, this is an explanation. You should simply say, this could be reached by, let's say, yes, ticket pricing in favor of the consumer. Well, this is very clear. And the timetable. Another solution is to promote a solution to what? To which aspect of the pollution problem? To the plastic pollution or to the air pollution? So this has to be specified here. Is to promote awareness and to educate people. Okay, this is because the user needs to be aware of the problems being caused. I would say of the problems existing, of the existing problems, and at the time of alternatives, how they can become more environmentally friendly. No, you don't need this passive. You simply say the user needs to be aware of this and of how they can become more environmentally friendly. Great use of environmentally friendly, yes. Sometimes I have a feeling that you overuse passive. Passive is great, but it needs to be placed in the right place. For example, composting food scraps would be beneficial to our nature, and people could bring in their own containers when picking up takeaway food. Yes, yes, this is a great sentence, and that's a great solution. Therefore, these measures could help to reduce pollution in larger cities. Okay. I wouldn't use therefore. I would use this is how. This is how the measures described above could help, and so on. So here, another solution to, let's say, overuse or to plastic abuse, and you go on. To conclude, the problem of pollution is, in general, is hard to tackle completely, like this, to tackle completely. But, okay, you don't need the comma, but it could be decreased by improved public transport and by making people more aware of the issues. Which issues? Again, you have to rephrase this. And making people more aware of, let's say, overuse of plastic or of the dangers of plastic use. And then you have perfectly summarized the two main ideas here. Okay, so this is a great essay, great arguments, absolutely great vocabulary, but make sure that it is used appropriately. Now let's have a quick look at your bar chart commentary. The bar chart depicts both the number of total car sales and purchases of Ford, Audi, and BMW vehicles being sold in 9 countries in Europe, measured in thousands in 2018. Okay, I like this part. This is confusing. You say, what the reader sees is total car sales and purchases, and this is redundant. You can say both the number of total car sales and individual purchases of this, and that. If you say individual, that's going to be by country or per country purchases. I would say it like this. Great introductory sentence. The purpose of the bar chart is very clear. Overall, it can be seen that Hungary and France sold the largest numbers of total cars. Oh, there's no such thing as total cars. You could say it can be seen that Hungary and France sold the largest numbers of cars or vehicles. Let's not forget that vehicle is a very good synonym for cars. You can say on the whole, right? And this will summarize your word total, will rephrase the word total. While Italy and Belgium reported the lowest car sales. The proportions of the 3 brands being sold varied throughout the countries. Yes, very nice. In 2018, Hungary's annual car sales almost reached, okay, not a comma, not a full stop, a comma. which were approximately 100,000. Yes, just remember to fix all the thousands. I'm not going to do this here to save time. Which were approximately this much more, I would say vehicles, right? Let's introduce the word vehicles, than France. Then in France, both total sales, yes, you can say total sales, but not total cars. I could say the total sales in both countries consisted of broadly similar shares at 1/3 of different car models. What do you mean by this? At 1/3 of the car models. You're saying Hungary and France. Hungary, Hungary, and France. Okay. Similar shares at 1/3. You mean that the sales were distributed evenly, each brand constituting 1/3 of the total number? Then you cannot really say it like this. You have to rephrase it. In contrast, the tiniest proportion, tiny is an emotionally colored word. I don't think it's appropriate in an academic commentary like this. The lowest, the smallest, or the least, I would say the least significant. How about that? It means lowest, smallest, but it has a very academic, touch. Of cars was sold in Italy and Belgium. Nice. The former, very good use of former, made up this. No, you cannot say 1,000 sales. Or you can. You see, you sell cars. You don't say 80,000 sales. So this needs to be rephrased to avoid counting sales. The large majority going to sales of Ford cars, whereas the latter showed a sale. Yes, okay. Or you can say an amount of this many cars, with most of those accounting for BMW. At a range from this to that, automobile sales, Germany, Ireland, and Holland reported similar figures, approximately. I think this is not really necessary here. You can say further or finally. I would say finally because you're reaching the end. Finally, Germany, Ireland, and Holland reported similar figures at approximately this many cars sold. I would say cars sold. Why not? So did the UK and Poland at this much and this much respectively? Yes. Great. I would suggest you have one final conclusion sentence, and this would make your commentary even more complete. It's not required, but it looks very good. So you have great expressions to report data, but mind the details, such as, for example, dropping this detail about the range from to, and be careful what you count, cars or sales. So this is a very good task one, but take care of the small errors and it will become even better. Again, apologies for the great delay. We don't want you upset. We want you to be satisfied with the feedback that you get, and looking forward to more of your essays.